cybersecurity law can be defined as the new emerging legal discipline within the cyber law umbrella, which deals with all the legal, policy and regulatory issues pertaining to cybersecurity, its protection, preservation, maintenance and continued updation. Last year when we were having this conference, cybersecurity was important, but cybersecurity law had not even begun to be talked about. In the last 1 year, almost 365 days have seen a huge manifestation of forces which have now begun to start coming up with legal frameworks to govern cybersecurity per se. So the first thing that comes to our mind is, internationally speaking, the countries are struggling. There's no one international agreement or framework of what will constitute cybersecurity law. In fact, consequently, when there's nothing international, countries are saying, sorry, we are not waiting. We are continuing. So how can we continue? We continue at our national levels, we adopt a very elastic approach, and we enter into bilateral arrangements. And that's what the last 1 year since the last conference took place shows that's happening. Bilateral arrangements are suddenly started becoming very popular amongst leaders. So leaders are coming in, inking in agreements, and these are not just isolated countries. These are countries which have got huge manpowers and huge stakes in the cyber and mobile ecosystems. But the catch is there. Countries are saying, well, I will enter into bilateral cooperation, but I will not allow my national security information to be shared with them. So hold on. So you're both agreeing to shake hands to collaborate on cybersecurity, but you say, sorry, I'm not going to give you anything pertaining to my national security information, which effectively means that these bilateral agreements, even though a step forward, will ultimately not meet with much success, because it will ultimately be dependent on the subjective will of the concerned sovereign nations, whether they want to honor this information or not. And it's always up to them to argue, this information we're not sharing because this is our national interest information, national security information. So let's look at what's happened in the last 1 year. These developments have happened. Russia and China entered into a pact saying we will not hack each other's websites. China came up with a game changer. 1st July 2015, China passes a law. This is the Chinese national security law. A small development in one part of the world, but no longer small. China opens up a Pandora's box. China says that my national security is so wide enough to include all cyber security. My national security law applies to outer space, the Arctic, and a lot of areas to which my boundaries don't exist. Similarly, any information, any work, any business that we want to do with China will ultimately tend to get covered under the national Chinese security law. On top of it, Germany came up with a national cybersecurity law in mid-July, which says, okay, I'm not bothered about anything else. I only want to protect the critical information infrastructure. So they have come up with huge obligations of service providers. And then finally, the mother of all agreements come across, the US-China Cybercrime Truce Agreement. This is inked by both the nations a few months back, but this actually is a game changer because both the nations agreed to cooperate amongst each other in exchange of information pertaining to breaches of cybersecurity. And this information exchange agreement is already being acted and implemented. And finally, UK also entered into an agreement with China on cybersecurity per se.